man, what's goody, bro, man? Welcome to Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Hey, you guys, man, this episode, we're going to get into the Week 7 games. We're going to go over all the games. We're going to still do our play clock segment. We're going to go ahead and do our important games and our game of the week, just like we've been doing. I've been feeling like that's been flowing real good and real nicely. At the end of the episode, we're going to go over the Week 8 preview, along with the top 5s list again. And as our talking point this time, we're going to focus on the quarterbacks, my top 5 quarterbacks that I think are playing at that level right now of each conference. So top 5 NFC quarterbacks in my opinion, and the top 5 AFC quarterbacks in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into this, starting off with actually our news segment. This ain't necessarily news, but I'm putting it in this category because to me it's not really a part of actual football, but it is a problem that's going on with the Cleveland Browns. I'm having a major issue with Deshaun Watson, this injury situation right now. He came in the game, he played the first drive. The second drive, he threw an interception. The first drive, he didn't really do too much. Second drive, he threw an interception. Terrible read, terrible pass. Completely all his fault. Then the second drive, he throws another interception. I mean, it didn't count as an interception because the ball touched the ground, but he threw an interception. He threw a second interception. And then all of a sudden, my shoulder hurts. All of a sudden. Like, this is getting very, very shaky for me. And the reason why it's getting shaky is because, like, this is really getting off a vibe that, like, you're not playing well. You feel like you are embarrassing yourself on the field. Your contract is already fully guaranteed, so you have no true incentive to play. So now it's coming off of, honestly, being like a spoiled brat, not sucking up that you're not playing well, and you just like, oh, I'm just not going to play. I quit. And instead of playing through and getting better as a player. I mean, I'm having some major issues with it. I mean, we are now 10 to 12 games, I don't know the exact number, into this period of Deshaun Watson being back. I'm not saying he should be 100% Deshaun Watson that he was with the Houston Texans, but you should be a lot better than this. So it's really looking like that you just have not been working on your game. And it seems like to me also that, like, you are not putting the time in to be what you were. It seems like you settled for what you was, and you're just like, oh, when I come back, I'm going to just be me, Deshaun Watson, to get on the field. And it's like, nah, that's not the case. So you didn't continue working. Bro, you missed a year and a half of football. A year and a half of football. That is tough for anybody to come back from. And you had a training camp. You had training camp last season. Yes, and I want to say you was there to play the preseason games. And then you came back, finished out the year. And then you had all this offseason, all this training camp, all this preseason, and then the games, the 4 games out of 6 games that you played, or maybe they played 7 games, whatever it is for them. Bro, that is not a good look. That's not good. And like I said, the vibe that's given off to me is that you have not been playing up to snuff, and honestly, you just are embarrassed to be out there on the field. Man, for the Cleveland Browns, it sucks because, bro, you still got years left into this contract. There's no out. Because you fully guaranteed the contract, there's no out at all. You owe him this money. You paying that money until that contract's up. So there ain't like no year to like you could cut him and just suck up the cap hit. No, nothing like that. Like, you got him that whole time. $46 million guaranteed every year. So hey man, you put yourself in a bad situation. You did business with someone that honestly is showing not to be a faithful businessman. That's why I'm going to word that as. Good luck to you. Good luck, Deshaun. I'm a fan of yours. I want you to be back at what you were. But, dog, you got to do it. You got to do the work. And I'm not cutting you no slack just because I was a fan of yours at one point. Moving on to the next news that we have. Bro, Kevin Byard got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Kevin Byard, he's a safety from the Tennessee Titans. And he just got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, one of the weak points of the Eagles this season on their defensive side has been the safeties. But honestly, they're so great everywhere else that it's hard to really notice. But Kevin Byard is an all-pro safety. This dude is one of the best safeties in the NFL. Great game. He's physical. He's tough. And he could flat out ball. bro, this is a beautiful landing place for him. He fits that culture. He fits everything they have going on there. The defensive scheme, all of it. He's going to be a great addition. This is a guy that you could put on tight ends, but also put in the box that can make plays in the box. It's not afraid to hit, not afraid to tackle. He's big, he's strong, he's tough. Man, this is a great pickup. Man, the Philadelphia Eagles defense got a lot better. Once again, Howie Roseman doing his thing. Great pickup for them. Now, moving on next to the Chiefs, picking up Mecole Hardman, getting him back from the New York Jets. Some people see that as a minimal move. No, it was a big move for the Chiefs. And the reason why it was a big move for the Chiefs is because we are lacking playmaking from the wide receiver position. And if there's one thing that Mecole can do very well, he can play make. And even though it's not necessarily always going to be coming from the wide receiver spot, as we saw in that Los Angeles Chargers game, Mecole Hardman is a playmaker. Just give him the ball. So now we're able to put him at punt return, take Sky Moore off of that because he has no business being back there. Kadarius Toney, he's good at punt returning, but he is not Mecole Hardman. So now, man, you got a guy that could give you a 50-yard punt return on a regular basis. And when I say regular, of course, we're talking about the NFL. When I say regular, I mean like once every 2-3 weeks. He's going to bust one for 50 yards. Man, that's a big plus, a big boost to the Chiefs' offense because now the Chiefs' offense has better field position to start the drive. Mecole Hardman was a great pickup for the Chiefs. Our last part of the news segment is going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans in general. And the reason why we're going to talk about them is because they just traded Kevin Byard. The next people that I've been hearing that they're looking at getting rid of is Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. And I think all this is starting because they have started 2-4, and Ryan Tannehill got hurt last game. They know they got to either play Malik Willis or Will Levis. And from what I'm hearing, they're going to go with Will Levis. And with that being the case, like, pretty much, bro, you're not winning games with that. You are not winning games with that. And pretty much they are sucking that up. And what they're going to do is just going to start working these young guys, building up, trying to get better for the future. So I really, really do think that Derrick Henry may get traded by next week. I think that's a real possibility. Not even a possibility, I borderline think it will happen. We will find out on Sunday. If Derrick Henry plays on Sunday, that means that he may not get traded. But if he don't play, there's a trade in place that's about to go down. Same with DeAndre Hopkins. They're just going to go with their young guys, try to start getting better, built for the future, and get as much back as you can for those guys. Because I want to say D-Hop, he signed for 2 years, so you could probably get a decent return back for D-Hop, and his contract ain't nothing too crazy. And for Derrick Henry, I don't know how many years left he has on his deal. I want to say this is the last year on his deal, but he might have 2 years. And if he has 2 years, that team that's going to be receiving him, that's a big plus, because now you know you have him for the rest of this season and next season. And great landing spots, I think, for them. I think for DeAndre Hopkins, the best spot for him is actually Kansas City. One of the teams that are really heavily interested in him in the offseason. He fits. He will play great in our system, and he will be a very good wide receiving option to help Travis Kelce. And then that also allows like the guys like Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice to really fall into roles that they need to be in. Right now, like somebody has to play outside. I mean, obviously we got MVS, but like there's two outsides. Somebody got to play outside, and none of those guys that's not their skill set. All those guys are like slot guys. So that's where a guy like D-Hop comes into play, and it gives the Chiefs another shorthand receiver to help Travis Kelce just maintain the chains, continue getting first downs. And then for Derrick Henry, as I already said last week, I think the perfect spot for him is the Baltimore Ravens. I think he fits that scheme. I think he fits the attitude. I think he fits the culture of the team. I think that'll be a great pickup for the Baltimore Ravens. Another team that I actually think will be a fantastic pickup for him to be on is the Dallas Cowboys, actually. Because the Dallas Cowboys, they are missing everything that Zeke brought. And everything that Zeke does, Derrick Henry could do on a Derrick Henry level. So, I mean, I think that would be a great pickup because now that also allows Tony Pollard to go back to the position that he needs to be, which is more like a spell back, not having every single carry, not having to run between the tackles. Now you can focus on him running outside the tackles. And now when he runs in between the tackles, more of a surprise, so the defense ain't necessarily set up for that, which means that he could break off more things. And then also he could focus on his pass catching ability. So I actually think that the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys are the two perfect landing spots for Derrick Henry. Now, moving on to our Week 7 review. We're going to go start off, with the play clock segment. This segment, we're going to spend about 40 seconds on every game and try to blow through these games quickly. These games are games that were played that I do not think have a crazy level of importance that we need to focus a lot of time on. So starting off, man, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders at the Chicago Bears. Man, the Las Vegas Raiders, they heavily disappointed in this game. This was a game that they were supposed to easily win. The Bears had a backup quarterback in, but man, they're going through a lot of turmoil over there. I personally think that they should be looking into the trading Devontae Adams, but I think right now they're playing hardball. I do think they're listening, but they're playing hardball because they're trying to make sure they get the absolute best offer that they could get. But if they do decide to keep him, this is going to be a bad season. It's going to be a bad season, but it's going to be a bad season no matter what. Man, that's a terrible game you lost. You knocked out any chances of trying to make the AFC playoffs. And for Max Crosby, I also feel terrible for you. And for Josh McDaniels, he's just not built to be an NFL head coach. It's just that plain and simple. That's what he proved. For the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears, man, great game. You showed what you could do. The offense flowed very well with you. I'm not going to go on board saying that he's better than Justin Fields. I think that's ridiculous right now. Let him play a few more weeks. Now the NFL has tape on him. We'll see what he is. But good first game from you, Youngblood. Moving on now to the next game, the Green Bay Packers at the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, good win. Defense finally showed up. Finally done things that we thought that they would be able to do all season. But my main focus with this game is on Jordan Love. Jordan Love, man, in the preseason and the first couple weeks, I thought there was some promise there. I thought that he was going to continue growing, continue getting better. But instead, what you're seeing is like those bad habits. He's not overcoming the bad habits. See, the first 2-3 weeks, he was overcoming those bad habits that he was doing. The bad accuracy moments, things of that nature about making clutch plays later on. But these last few weeks recently, he's not making those plays. So now those bad plays are being harped on a lot more. And those bad habits are showing themselves even more. So, like, I don't know what he is. I personally was not a fan of his when he got drafted. I did get bamboozled by the preseason and also last season when he came in for a game for Aaron Rodgers. I thought that he was showing promise. I thought I may have been wrong that the dude actually could play. And I'm not going as far as to say he's terrible, but he's still young. He's still growing. He's still growing to the position, and everything around him is very young. So I'm not going to write him off yet, but right now, bro, it ain't looking great for you. Moving on to the next game, the Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. Hey, Jonathan Allen's press conference comments, listen to that. Hilarious, hysterical, and then listen to Ryan Clark talk about it. But anyways, man, this game was ugly, bro. It was ugly. The Giants defense, once again, just like we talked about, they're showing that they can be an elite group. And also, the only other thing I really have to say about this game is that Tyrod Taylor should be the starting quarterback. He should be. He's not going to be, but he should be. He's running this offense a whole lot better than what Daniel Jones ever did this season. And I personally think that he's a better fit for this offense. But Daniel Jones is making $42 million, and they know they're not going to go forward with Tyrod Taylor. And you got Daniel Jones locked up for at least one more season before you can release him. So he's going to get the call when he comes back. But I think they're better with Tyrod Taylor. But more importantly, the New York Giants defense. That's a real defense, bro. Them boys are playing great. Moving on to the next game, the Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. This game I just don't really care about, to be honest. The only thing I care about really in this game is just that Geno Smith is taking way too many sacks still. Way too many sacks. And he's not playing to the level that he played last season. And that's not good. That's not good, obviously. But, hey, for Jackson Smith-Njigba, great showing. Way to show up. Way to do your thing. For Jack Bobo, hey, bro, you showing that you can play make, man. You should be getting some more run. It's just that's a tough wide receiver room. That's the issue there. Man, you got DK Metcalf, you got Tyler Lockett, and you got now Jackson Smith-Njigba. All out there, bro. There's a lot of guys that you're going against, but Jake Bobo, man, you're showing to be a prominent player and a true playmaker on that team. He should be getting some more run. Also, with the offensive line needs to continue getting better. They need to utilize play action a little bit more, and also I do think that they need to get Kenneth Walker into more space. But that's all I got on this game. Good win for the Seahawks. Time to move on to next week for you guys. Now we're going to get to our important games of the week. Now, with the important games of this segment, when we're going over the reviews, the important games are games that we thought were going to be important going into this week, but also they could include other games because those games became far more than what I anticipated them being. So, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints. The Jags defense is good. That's a good defense. Bro, they're playing good football. Those good dudes are on a streak right now, and they are not a team that you want to see. They're rushing the passer well, and they're playing good running defense. And their secondary is holding up. It's holding up all right. But the offense has been staying on pace and staying on time. I wish they could get more playmaking out of Calvin Ridley. I do think that's when we will see Trevor Lawrence take a step, because right now Trevor Lawrence is kind of doing what he was doing at the end of last season, playing good football, but he's not blowing up. He's not setting the league on fire. I do think he has potential to possibly do that, and I think Calvin Ridley is a step that he needs to get to in order to get to that level. But there is something that's going great on this offense, and that's Travis Etienne. This man is becoming a star in the NFL right now. If you watch their games, he is dominating games. He's receiving the ball, he's running the ball, he's getting crucial first downs, he's getting touchdowns. Obviously, this dude has been a revelation in fantasy football. Man, he is playing great football, and he is the best player on that offense right now. And they are running things through him like he is. So, hey, man, that's dope, bro. Good for Travis Etienne. I was a big fan of his going into the draft. And that offense is looking solid, and the defense is looking great. Going on to the New Orleans Saints, though, man, they are just a very disappointing team for me. Very disappointing team. Derek Carr cannot get the ball to Chris Olave, which makes no sense at all. You're supposed to be a strong arm quarterback, but you can't get the ball to your deep threat. I don't understand. The best wide receiver in that team right now has been Rashid Shaheed, I believe is his name. Yeah, I mean, he's been the best playmaking guy in that offense. Derek Carr just dumping the ball down to Alvin Kamara every other play. Like, you could do that. He's supposed to be there for a safety net, but come on, bro. Like, you got to get the ball downfield. But hey, I know it hurts. They did have a chance to win, but man, Foster Moreau dropped that football. You can't drop that ball, bro. You gotta catch that. You gotta catch that. But man, hey, it is what it is. Game's over with. Move forward. But hey, y'all got to be better. There's too much talent on that team for that team not to be a solid team in the NFL. Moving on to our next game, bro, we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The reason why this falls into the important game, it wasn't that exciting, but it was an important game because this game was going to determine who's going to be the top dog of the NFC South. And right now, bro, it's the Atlanta Falcons. They took it. They won. And how did they win, bro? They won by playing great defense. Now, this is what I will say, though. Both teams play great defenses. And with that being the case, I did not know who was going to win this game. I sincerely had no idea. But, man, hey, the Atlanta Falcons, bro, they made enough plays. They got the ball to Cordell Patterson, who actually had a really good game. And Tyler Algier had a good game as well. And then they are looking for Drake London. That's nice for me. Like, you're showing that's a real threat and that you're trying to feature him in the offense. I still would love to see Kyle Pitts a little bit more involved. But, man, when you watch their games, that's just not the scheme. That's not the scheme. And at some point, we got to accept that's not the scheme. All I would say is that, I mean, you wasted that draft pick if that's not going to be your scheme to get him the ball. That's where I will say that was a fundamentally flaw in your staff to draft him just to try to use him as an inline blocker or just to try to use him as like I guess you could say a decoy down the field. Like, bro, we got to get your stars the ball. If he's supposed to be a star on your team, get him the football. You're doing it for Bijan, except this game. You was kind of find out, I guess he had a migraine before the football game, and that's why he didn't play. And migraines, they can just pop up on you like that. So, I mean, I'm going to cut him some slack. I don't know. I've never had a migraine, but I can imagine you having a migraine. Then you try to put a helmet on to go out here and get hit in the head. That don't make sense, especially when you got quality backups like Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson. Like, your role can be filled. Obviously, they're not you, but they can play. But, man, I really want to talk about Desmond Ridder a little bit because this is a game that I feel like sincerely explains who Desmond Ridder is. And this is what I mean. He had 3 turnovers. He had 3 fumbles. Bad fumbles, all of them. But the absolute worst one was the one where he was running for the touchdown. He slowed up, thinking that he was in there. Like, bro, that's Devin White behind you. Devin White faster than you. And Devin White got there and made you fumble. But Desmond Ridder, he is a winner. He's won his whole life. So when it came down to it, what happened? He drove down the field after Baker Mayfield made great play after great play to get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a position to tie the game. Desmond Ridder said, okay, that could be a moment after Baker does that where you like, man, it just ain't our night. Nah, Desmond Ridder went out there and said, "Okay, let's make this play. Let's get this dub." And that's what they did. They made the plays that they had to make to get down to field goal range. They kicked the field goal, win the game. So, man, Desmond Ridder, he is not a high quality starter, but he's a hard guy to replace. Now, that's also, I personally think, the worst spot to be in as a franchise, sincerely, because you either want to be able to have the ability to move on to try to find a great quarterback, or you want to be in a position where you already have a great quarterback. But, man, when you got that middle of the pack guy and you like, okay, if I let him go, who do I get? You can't replace Desmond Ridder with Sam Howell. You can't replace him with Jacoby Brissett. You can't replace him with Tyrod Taylor. You can't replace him with Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew. Like, you can't replace him with nothing like that. You got to get a guy like a Kirk Cousins at the minimum to replace him. And if you can't get a guy like that at minimum, who do you replace him with? And your team's, and he's a good enough quarterback that your team isn't the worst team in the league. So you're not getting Caleb Williams, you're not getting Shedeur Sanders, you're not getting Drake May, you're not getting any of those star prospects. So that's why I personally think it's the worst position to be in, because you are just in this area where you're just stuck right there. You're just stuck right there. And you're hoping that he could maybe have a Geno Smith year that Geno had last year. But, hey, also, though, Desmond Ridder is only his second season. He is growing. He's getting better. He's getting a little bit more consistent. His issue is that when he falls. That's the issue. He falls way too hard. But let's give him a little bit more time. Let's give him a little bit more time and just understand there's not a whole lot the Falcons could do. It's either we're going with him or Tyler Heinicke. I personally think Tyler Heinicke is probably better right now, but like going to years to come, Desmond Ridder makes more sense to have as a starter. Give him his experience, let him to get better, allow him to grow. Moving on to the next game. The Cleveland Browns at the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to talk about the Colts first. First of all, Jonathan Taylor, he's coming into form. I personally think that this, obviously, it was the best game he's played since he's been back. But he's getting there. I personally think that he's about 2 more weeks away. And I think the Colts are in a good position, too, with Zach Moss being able to spell him, that you never had to put too much on him this year. Because although you're trying to win, your team isn't really good enough to be in the playoffs this year. You're just going to go there just to get ran out the building. I would rather have a higher draft pick. That's just me personally. So I wouldn't be trying to run Jonathan Taylor into the ground this season. I would rather preserve him the most I can, because I got him for an additional 2 or 3 more seasons after this. So that's what I would do. And like I said, since you got a guy that could spell him, it's not like you're taking some crazy drop off where like, oh, our run game sucks just because Jonathan Taylor came out. But man, what I do love that I'm seeing with Jonathan Taylor so far, man, is his hands. His hands. He's doing some good route running out there, and he's catching the ball with soft hands. Man, that wheel route, that was a tough catch, bro. That was a tough catch, and he hauled that in. He's playing good football. Gardner Minshew, he balled yesterday. He balled last Sunday. The man went out there. He did his thing. The thing is, he's Gardner Minshew, so there's going to be some mistakes here and there. You just got to eat that up. But it wasn't none of his fault this time, bro. Because Myles Garrett lost his mind. That man is a dang on alien out there. He's an alien out there. Ain't nobody like him out there on the field right now. And that boy completely wrecked this game. And he, as of right now, is definitely the defensive player of the year. But, man, when you watch him, like, I can't even tell you how to slow him down. They tried to chip him with a tight end at one point in the defensive touchdown fumble. They tried to chip him with a tight end, but he got by that tight end so fast that right tackle couldn't even get out there to get to him. That's how quickly he got by him, and he hunted the football the way he's supposed to, knocked it out Garner's hand, fumble. The block field goal, that's just a freak athlete doing freak athlete things. That just shows you what he is. That's all. But, man, the man is beating everybody. The only thing I will say that you probably could do, I would run the football at him. Run at him. Yes, he's going to get you a couple of times, but run at him, because like you're going to make him work on every single play. And eventually he will start wearing down just of fatigue. And that's your only hope. And then the other thing I would do, of course, is play action away from him. Do not play action towards him, because he's not going to fall for that, and then he will sack your quarterback. But play action away from him. Make sure your rollout is away from him when you're doing your play action. And I definitely would not play action as well, like in ISO. I wouldn't do that going against Myles Garrett, because that doesn't put him in any type of position. What that actually does is causes your quarterback to hold the ball longer, and that's not what I would want to do against him. But, man, right now, Myles Garrett is a freaking beast, and he wrecked this game. He won this game for the Cleveland Browns. And the reason why he won this game for them is because that offense is horrid. Horrid, bro. Like, they had the big play, of course, from Ford at the beginning, which great blocking on that play, by the way. Great blocking. Ford, he ran through, he ran hard, he got downhill, he got to where he needed to be. Dope. But you look at this, look at the stats, like Ford, like he only had like maybe 20 more yards the rest of the game. Like, the run blocking isn't great right now. The quarterback play that's the issue. The quarterback play is way too bad. Way too bad. Paul Walker is not a starter in the NFL. I don't even think he's a quality backup in the NFL. I just think he's just a backup. But Deshaun Watson, he's playing so bad. So bad. And Paul Walker is worse than him. Like, and they are completely holding up that offense. When you see Deshaun Watson throw the ball, he's not comfortable where he's throwing it. He's not seeing the field well. He does not see defenders. He's still slow in his progressions right now. And maybe, just maybe, we just need to completely change the scheme. Completely change the scheme. Because, hey, Nick Chubb ain't there no more. So I would completely change to a spread scheme. Put Deshaun in something that he's more used to from Houston. And let's go from there. Because right now, this right here, and because there are actual progression reads in this offense, this right here is not it for Deshaun. Put him in shotgun. Put him in spread. The things that he ran in Clemson, what he ran in Houston. And that may allow Amari Cooper to get the ball thrown to him more, because you got to get him the football. Amari Cooper got game, bro. You got to get him the ball. You cannot keep playing like this. So that is the biggest thing with the Cleveland Browns. I think that's what's going to hinder them from making the playoffs. And it sucks because, man, that defense does not deserve to be in that position. That defense is elite, and they're playing great. They're playing fantastic. The only time they get up points is when they obviously blow a coverage, which every defense would do here and there, or the offense put them in bad spots. And, like, bro, sorry, they're going to get field goal when the offense put them in field goal range already. Like, that's just part of the game. But the ending of this game, I would discuss this because I've seen a lot of people talk about it. As you guys know, I don't really get into the referee stuff. That ain't really my cup of tea. The game is the game. The game's over. Move forward. But this one, man, it wasn't great. It was terrible at the end. A good game with a terrible ending. And to go to the speed fumble, when the linebacker speed sacked Paul Walker, and Paul Walker throwing the football, fumbled. DeForest Buckner picked it up. Game should have been over right then. They called illegal contact on a defensive back against Amari Cooper. If you look to where he was trying to throw the football, he was trying to throw the football towards Amari Cooper. That was illegal contact. That flag should have been thrown. The issue is that was the fumble. Was it a fumble? Because if it was a fumble, that flag doesn't mean anything. That play doesn't mean anything because obviously the ball got impeded. And now DeForest Buckner has it. So, like, there can't be no pass interference. There can't be anything like that. But the balls, if they judge it as a pass, as an incomplete pass, that's when that could be called. And it was close. It was close. So, I mean, that's a 50-50 call. To me, that's based on whatever your position is on that. But what I will really get into is the next play. That next play to Donovan Peoples-Jones, the fade route on the back right end zone pylon. I think he threw the ball away. Like, I think he was kind of throwing the ball away because he didn't see nothing there. And that ball was uncatchable. Was there pass interference? Absolutely. The receiver's arm was out. Now, granted, his arm ain't supposed to be extended, but his arm was out. But you could also see the guy kind of pull his arm towards him. That is interference. But my issue is that it was an uncatchable ball. There's no way anybody's catching that football. Julio's not catching it. Larry's not catching it. Calvin's not catching it. Like, all these freaks, DK, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, ain't none of them getting that ball. That ball was way over the head. That should not have been called. That should not have been called. Now, see, I'm not going to sit here and be like, you lost because of that call, because there still would have been 3 downs left. That was on 1st and goal. So I'm not going to go that far, but man, y'all did get played on that call. And if you want to feel that way about the fumble, like I said, to me, that's a 50-50 thing. I would have called it a fumble. But you can also see the flick of the wrist when he's trying to throw it. And if they're saying that flick was enough to call it an incomplete pass, I can understand that. You're being petty, but I can understand that. But like I said, that was just a terrible end to the game. I never like when games come down to referees. Moving on to our next to our next team. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Los Angeles Rams. Man, the Steelers defense, bro, they play great. They play sound. And TJ Watt is still out here winning games, bro. He's winning games from the defensive end spot. Bro, TJ Watt is a freaking animal out there. And there ain't nothing you could do about it. If it wasn't for Myles Garrett, he'd be on pace right now to be DPOY once again. But, man, that defense plays sound. They play well. They took Cooper Kupp completely out the game. Yes, Puka Nacua went off, but you're picking and choosing. You're not going to shut down both. You got to pick one. And they chose to slow down Cooper Kupp. Don't blame them. Puka, you're the rookie. You still got to prove that you can do what you're doing. Like, we've seen rookies come in that have hot starts and then they fade off. Now, Puka, obviously, he's not one of those guys. But Puka Nacua, you're playing good football. But, yeah, they let you have that because they were just focused on stopping Cooper Kupp. Like, that was part of the game plan. They held these dudes on 14 points. That defense played well. And the offense played better, especially in the second half. They played better. They're getting to maybe a barely below average standard instead of just complete garbage, which is a big deal when you got a defense that's playing as well as the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is. And George Pickens, man, he's finding his form. He's finding his role. He's finding his niche of how to get the ball and make plays. But let me be clear. This game really came down to the Los Angeles Rams not taking advantage of opportunities. That's what this game really came down to. Bro, when you miss 2 field goals in this type of game, this close of a football game, that will lose you the game as it did. And also, man, they got to run the ball more effectively. You have to run the ball more efficiently. You have to. Especially in a Sean McVay offense is based off of boots and things of that nature. Is based off of getting rushing yards. Because when you get rush yards out, opens up the full passing game for Sean McVay and the Rams offense. So we need to see them run the football a lot better than what they were. But Matt Stafford is still out there wheeling and dealing. He's still out there putting the ball where it needs to be. He made a lot of great reads, but the offensive line has to get better so you can run the football and run these play actions and take these 5-step drops so that you can put the ball where it needs to be. But Rams lost this game for not taking advantage of the opportunities that they had. Moving on to the next game, the Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. The reason why this game is now the only reason why this is even in the important games category, because it was a big game for both teams. If the Lions win, they show us how good they really are. If the Baltimore Ravens win, that keeps them from losing 3 games already in the season, and now we're seeing what they can be. And bro, what we saw the Detroit Lions are, like I said, the San Francisco 49ers, but with less talent. They got all the second-tier guys of the San Francisco 49er team. That's what they are. They are not on that standard, which also makes me question if they beat the Chiefs, if Travis Kelce plays, Chris Jones plays, and Aminu is out there. If all 3 of them are out there, I don't think they would even sniffed winning that game against the Chiefs, seeing how they only won by 1 point in the first place, and it was week 1. But at this point, bro, people know what your offense is. Now they got tape, and now they see it. Now, granted, they were without David Montgomery, but David Montgomery's not making up 32 points. They lost that game 38-6. 38-6. Okay, give them their 2-point conversion. I'm just saying, just give it to them. You still lost by 30. You lost by 30, bro. A running back does not make up 30 points. So that was just a terrible performance because what we saw was just a lack of talent. That's what we saw from the Detroit Lions. They had heart, just a lack of talent. When they go against a team that's actually just as talented, if not more talented than them, just like the Ravens are, when they go against them elite teams, because all those elite teams, they will be. They show that Jared Goff ain't enough. He's not enough. Jared Goff is good. I give him good. I'm not a Jared Goff guy. I give him good. He's good, but he is not Lamar Jackson. He is not Patrick Mahomes. He is not Jalen Hurts. He is not all those type of guys. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, so on and so forth. Joe Burrow, all those guys. He is not that level quarterback. Can he beat Dak Prescott? Yes. Can he beat even Brock Purdy? Probably. Can he beat those kind of quarterbacks? The Kirk Cousins, that class? Yes, because that's his class. So he could beat those guys. He's not beating these guys. And that's what happened in this game. When that defense was coming at them, talking about the Baltimore Ravens, Jared Goff could not make the plays. He could not make the plays. But to talk about the Ravens in this game, because honestly, there's nothing really to talk about the Lions. Honestly, because they did everything they always do. It just showed that they're not that good. That's what it showed, that they're not elite. That's what it showed. But talking about the Baltimore Ravens, man, that was the best that we've seen our offense look. That was one of the best games I've ever seen from Lamar Jackson. A lot of these media people are talking about the best game they've seen ever from Lamar. I'm not going there, because that game against the Los Angeles Rams, when Lamar won MVP, that game was fantastic, bro. If y'all don't remember, go back and look at those numbers. Go back and watch highlights of that game. Lamar Jackson was insane in that game. But, man, Lamar was on point. The ball was on point. And guess how and guess why? The receivers are getting healthy, and the timing is getting down. Like Rashid Bateman, his timing's coming now. Like, it takes time. You just can't walk out on the basketball court and shoot a basket and just expect to make it. No, bro. Like, you got to go out there. You got to work every day to really get your rhythm, to really know how to jump. It's the same thing with football. When you got this pass coming at you, literally these quarterbacks are throwing this ball super hard to the point that it breaks some guys' fingers. Like, that's how hard they throw these footballs. You got a ball zooming at you like that. Hey, man, that takes a minute for your eyes to get your hand-eye coordination to get adjusted to get that up there and grab that football. It takes time sometimes. And it does take a whole lot of time for a professional athlete. It's only been a couple weeks, but now Rashad Bateman's making that catch. Nelson Aguilar, hey, he is what he is, bro. He's going to make a great play, and then he's going to miss a play. That's just what he does. Odell Beckham Jr., he's finding his role. He's doing a lot of like a Juju Smith-Schuster role when Juju was with the Kansas City Chiefs. Mark Andrews, he's still Mark Andrews. And Zay Flowers is becoming the number one wide receiver of this team. He's definitely the number one threat on this football team. And he is really filling that role. Like, he's getting out that beginning phase of his rookie year, understanding what the NFL is, understanding NFL defenses, so he can actually make plays. So, man, this is great to see. It's great to see. And now Lamar, he's flourishing, doing this thing. Like, he didn't really run because he was just dropping dimes all over the place. So, man, I'm happy to see that from Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson is definitely in the MVP conversation. Moving on to the next game, man. This won't be long at all because this was a beatdown. We got the Los Angeles Chargers against the Kansas City Chiefs. First thing I want to talk about is about the Los Angeles Chargers. And actually, I'm not jumping on Brandon Staley too bad this time because he didn't do anything to me that was, like, absurd. And he typically does, but this time he didn't. I'm actually going to jump on Kellen Moore. We are seeing why the Dallas Cowboys actually thought it made sense to fire him. We're really seeing why. Because he can't run the football. They cannot run the football. He's good at getting you your stats for passing and things of that nature, and even getting a number one wide receiver to football. But, like, bro, Austin Eckler is a lot better than what we're seeing. He doesn't know how to get the ball to Austin Eckler at all. And what's that cause? It caused more pressure on Justin Herbert. Yeah, I know people want to talk about that left middle finger being broken on his left hand. Like, I don't care nothing about that, bro. You throw it your right. Literally, it's not a jump shot where, like, the left hand is your guide hand. It's not that at all. Nah, when you throw a football, you're holding it. But when you go to release, it's just the arm by itself. That left hand ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It's just your arm. So stop making them excuses, bro. Justin Herbert is not what y'all thought he was. He is not in Patrick Mahomes' class. He's not in his class. He's not even in Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow's class. He's that next group of guys, which are still really good football players. Really good quarterbacks, really good football players. He's just in that next group. He is not what y'all want him to be right now. But the Kellen Moore offense, although it can be explosive, it does not sustain. It does not sustain drives. It does not manufacture first downs. It's big play hunting all day. And once the defense recognizes that, they can focus on getting to Justin Herbert. They can focus on tearing up the offensive line, and they can focus on just defending the wide receivers. I don't have to worry about you dumping off the Austin Eckler. I don't have to worry about him running the Christian McCaffrey route out the backfield. I ain't got to worry about none of that because you ain't going to do it. You ain't going to do it. So I think Kellen Moore had a lot to do with this loss. And moving on to the next part of this game is the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is showing how good they really are. They really are good. This is a talented offense. We talking about Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, even the Quentin Johnston boy, the wide receiver from TCU. He has talent. I'm not the biggest fan, but he has talent. Jordan Palmer, I like him. He has talent. You got two good tight ends in Donald Parham and Gerald Everett. Like, they have a lot of talent. You got a solid offensive line there. But the Chiefs managed to slow that team up tremendously. And that's just showing how good they really are. They get to the quarterback, but also the Chiefs back in. Bro, we are awesome back there right now. All those young dudes that played last year, they gotten even better. And now Trent McDuffie, he's making a lot of plays. Obviously, L'Jarius Sneed, he's a beast on the backside. But guys like Cook, guys like Williams, all those dudes are back there really making plays and really being impact players. And it hurts that we lost Nick Bolton in this game, but Tranquil, he is a good player. But most important thing for this defense from this game is that Aminu is back. Aminu is back, our prize free agent this year, and he really did wreak a lot of havoc on that offensive line of the Los Angeles Chargers. And now what that does is when a team double teams Chris Jones and focuses on Chris Jones, the Chiefs got a guy that could beat him. We got a guy that could beat him, and that's what's going to make our defense elite. But, man, obviously, we got to talk about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. There ain't going to be a whole lot to talk about here because it's simple. Bro, them are two great players, two aliens out there that just went straight up bananas on a bad defense. This is why I'm saying, like, we got to put the game of the Dallas Cowboys and the Chargers in a box. It has to be in a little box because that Chargers defense is not good. They're not a good defense. So, like, when Dak did all of that, like, bro, tone it down a little bit. Tone it down a little. It's the same thing with this game. We got to tone it down a little bit. But because they're just not a good defense. And they never defend Travis Kelce well at all. At all. But, man, those two dudes, they went bananas. They showed what they were. The greatest thing I saw from the offense is that Patrick Mahomes, he's getting the ball out quick. He knew where he wanted to go with it as soon as he said hut. He knew where the ball was going, and he got the ball there. So, man, I thought that was fantastic. I thought that they played in rhythm. They never got out of rhythm, and they won this game. Moving on to the next game, we're going to now talk about the Bills at the New England Patriots. Oh, boy. Here we go. The New England Patriots played a sound football game. They played a sound football game. And the reason why I use the term sound is because I want to say that they played great, but they didn't do nothing spectacular. What they did, they just played a sound football game. And that means, like, the defense didn't do nothing special. The defense just... honestly, they just sat back and waited for Josh Allen to make the mistakes. Just waited. If you watch that game, you'll watch the secondary never fall for any play action. The reason why the run game looked decent from the Bills in this game is because they were just assuming it was going to be a play action first. So the Bills could have just kept running. And, bro, they would have eventually won this game just by doing that. But they have nothing in their heart of wanting to do that. They want Josh Allen to be the star. And that's what they try to force to happen. And that's why this game went the way it did. Because what they do, we're just going to sit back and wait till you throw us the football. Josh Allen should have threw 3 picks in that game also, by the way. He ended up throwing 2. He should have threw 3. Man, that's all the Patriots did. In the offense, they're like, we're not going to force it. We're We're just going to run our offense. Now, I'm going to cut the Bills' defense some slack, bro. As we know, they suffered their injuries. And those guys that they lost, you can't replace those. Those are all pro guys. You don't replace all pro guys. So, with that being the case, like, the offense has to pick it up. And the way the offense had to pick it up is it's not being sloppy, inconsistent. And that's what the Buffalo Bills are doing. Being very sloppy, very inconsistent with their play. One play we see Josh Allen doing this. The next play we see him throwing the pick. And also how that sit back and let Josh Allen make a mistake defense worked was because they knew that the Bills' offensive line is not great. It's not a great offensive line. I would say it's probably average, but it's not great. And with that being the case, the Patriots rushed 5 a lot. Now, when you rush 5, that's man on man essentially. And the Buffalo Bills never keep an inline running back blocker and never keep their tight ends in line to block. They just let them run routes because they depend on Josh Allen to be Superman and break every single sack. So when they do that 5-man, the reason how a guy always got there, was because they delayed the 5th guy. So these 4 are coming, and then once all 5 offensive linemen are blocking somebody, that's when the 5th guy's shooting. And that's how it worked. And what they wanted to do, they wanted to make Josh Allen roll out. They did want him to do that, just like we talked about with Jalen Hurts. Get him rolling side to side. Don't let him step up and scramble. Nope. Go straight side to side, straight sideline to sideline. And that's what he did. And then that's where you get them Josh Allen throws, where you just run and he just trying to do some crazy athletic throw that has no chance of working. That's what they did. But I will give the Bills as credit and Josh Allen. In the 4th quarter, they showed up. They showed up and they made plays and they took the lead in this game, actually. And that's why I also will give their defense credit for our offense to put them in so many bad spots to keep the score in range that you could come back and win in the 4th quarter. Bro, that's good defense. That's good defense. And the offense, they did. Now the defense, though, they folded at the end. Mac Jones made some plays. But the most important play was Ramondre Stevenson breaking loose on that first play of that drive for a 38-yard gain. You cannot have that. That pretty much put them in field goal range immediately. And then because it happened like that at the very beginning of the drive, there was plenty of time for Mac Jones to go ahead. Bro, you give any quarterback in this league, any average quarterback in this league, you give them like 2 minutes to manufacture a drive to score a touchdown within 30 yards. Most of them could do that. And that's what Mac Jones did. He made a few really good passes on that drive, but that's all that it was. But, hey, great drive by the Patriots. Great play by Mac Jones in this game. Great play just a great play as a team in general of the New England Patriots. Buffalo Bills, bro, y'all got to pull it together. Y'all got to stop playing like this. Y'all are way better than this, and you guys are not showcasing that offensively. Moving on to our next game. The San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. Man, the Vikings manhandled the line of scrimmage in this game. Let's just keep it a buck. The pass rush did not get there for the 49ers whatsoever. And Kirk Cousins went out there and had a field day. And that's not supposed to happen. Bro, Justin Jefferson ain't there. That's not supposed to happen. And Jordan Addison, you allowed him to have his coming out party. I mean, I was a fan of Jordan Addison's. I like him. But, bro, he is not supposed to go out there and do what he did without Justin Jefferson on the field. If Justin Jefferson was on the field, kind of like a Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp situation, where you got that guy, they may slow up Justin Jefferson, but you can't slow up Puka now. Like, that's what that was supposed to be. Nah, he was out here by himself, and y'all could not defend him. And Kirk Cousins and him are reaching a rapport that now I would actually say the Vikings probably should keep Kirk Cousins. I mean, what you got the Lions right now as the top dog in that division, but what you just saw, you may be like, oh, we could beat them. They lost 2 games now. The Vikings only lost 4. Like, they're not that far off of them. So now, man, they're probably going to keep Kirk Cousins, and now Justin Jefferson probably will come back. I don't know if he was going to come back at first, but he probably will come back as soon as he can to try to get back in the hunt. Because also, man, that Vikings defense played fantastic. They played lights out. I was not expecting that. They have had a strong run defense all season, but their pass defense have not been well at all. I was not expecting them to go out there and do what they did against the 49ers offense. Man, the reason why they were able to do it was because Trent Williams was out. Without Trent Williams, bro, they was able to just blitz that left side, and a lot of pressure came to Brock Purdy from that left side. Brock Purdy is a right-handed quarterback, so that's his blind side. And just even here, like, I could see this, and he could see this, but this is different than coming from this side when my body's pointed that way. Like, when I see this, I got to run that way, but once again, that's where Danielle Hunter was. So now if you run out there, Danielle Hunter's getting you. You pretty much giving up a sack. So now you're forcing me to try to slide up, and there's nowhere for him to slide. And that defensive line, they handled the offensive line. And Christian McCaffrey did nothing as far as running the football. He did break out a few times on pass routes. And obviously, he's Christian McCaffrey. He's great in the goal line. That's just what he does. He scored touchdowns. But let's talk about the first interception from Brock Purdy. That first one. That was a terrible interception. But let me explain to you why that happened. That happened because Debo wasn't there. When you got a backup in a wide receiver, you expect. He does not know what you expect him to do. And also, like, you don't have that same rapport with him the same way that you have it with Deebo Samuel. Deebo would have cut that route. And if he cuts that route at 13 yards instead of 15 yards, he's getting across to that spot earlier. And now he could put his hands up and grab that ball. What you got to remember is that a lot of this stuff that they're doing is from practice. And when you're practicing these plays, like he's throwing the ball in that same spot every time. And see, a lot of us normal people, we're looking at the wide receiver and like you're trying to throw to the wide receiver. Nah, he's throwing to a spot. He read the defense. He knows how long he's supposed to hold the ball, and I can throw it to that spot. He's not looking at Jennings at all. At all. He just knows he's supposed to be here by this time. And Deebo would have been there. Granted, Jennings did slip. But that way, how far as that ball was thrown, I don't think Jennings even still gets there because he didn't cut the route short enough. That's why. But that's why that interception was thrown. I wouldn't put it solely on Brock Purdy because he should have noticed that he slipped. So I'm not going to put it solely on Brock Purdy, but he does have to take some blame for that. Now the second interception on the final drive, that was horrendous. That was bad. The pressure got to him. He folded. The 49ers will be better. They will be better. They're a little unhealthy right now, but they will be better, and they will be what they're supposed to be. They're just going through a rough patch right now, and that was just a bad game. Moving on to our final game that we're going to go over is the Miami Dolphins at the Philadelphia Eagles. First of all, I'm going to say this. I walked away actually more impressed with the Miami Dolphins. But they played good. They played good football, especially the defense. The defense played a very good football game. The issue was just that the offense got called for a lot of things. They got called for a lot of penalties, which messed up a lot of opportunities that they had. They had many opportunities to have a good game, but they didn't exceed those. But outside of that, with the offense, you couldn't run the football, and now we have proof that what makes your offense great. Because see, last year they were a good offense. They weren't great though; they were good. This year they're great. What makes them a great offense is their ability to run the football, and they want to run off tackle. And Hassan Reddick said, "Absolutely not, absolutely not." So now when you took that out, the play action's not there. The spacing's not the same on the defense. And then also what Philadelphia did that was fantastic, they didn't move when y'all motioned. They did what I said that you're supposed to do against the Miami Dolphins. They did what the Buffalo Bills did, and they did it too. We just going to go in zone. We don't care all this stuff you're doing. Because what you guys have to realize that all the concepts are all the same. It's just window dressing. It's literally just window dressing. You're just going to, so like, let's say we got trips right. Meaning that on my right side, we got three wide receivers, 3 pass catchers, because it could be a tight end and 2 wide receivers. So we got 3 pass catchers. The inside pass catcher is going to run a deep fade. He's going to run up. He's going to cut out of bounds, like running towards the back pylon of the end zone. This the second closest wide pass catcher to me, he's going to run a 10-yard out route. 10 yards out. And then the last guy that got furthest away from me, he's just going to run a straight up speed out. Straight up speed out. That's the concept. Now, let's say that's just doubles out there, meaning that there's only 2 guys and I got a guy over here. Then I motion him over there. I'm just running the same play. It just looks a little different. That's all. That's what a lot of football calls are, and that's how football is played. And the Philadelphia Eagles said, we don't care about any of your motions. We're just going to run zone, maintain our zone, and just watch the concepts. And this is where I was talking about with Tua. I was concerned about his playmaking because this game, he couldn't rely on that anticipation of guys being out of place because they were not out of place. They weren't out of place, so you couldn't rely on that. So now he had to really go through progressions, and he did not play as well as I would have liked. He didn't play terrible, but he did. Tua played on a Kirk Cousins level instead of playing on an MVP level, and they need him on an MVP level to win these big games. He will get better from this. This is only the second time he's experienced this, and the first time he experienced a defensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles, and not many people have a defensive line like that. Honestly, I think only them and the 49ers have that type of defensive line. The Bills and the Chiefs, we could put pressure on them. The Cincinnati Bengals could put pressure on them. But a defensive line that's full as those 2 teams does not exist in the league. So they will be better against other competition. But what we are now seeing is a true game plan to slow down this team. Just slow down this team. As far as the Eagles offense go, man, they played great. They played really good football. They stayed on pace. They stayed on track. Still got to limit these turnovers a little bit. You can't be throwing pick sixes. You cannot be throwing pick sixes. But they played good. But the really thing I want to focus on is just how impressed I was with the play calling. The play calling was fantastic, bro. They ran the ball when they needed to run the ball. They threw the ball when they needed to throw the ball. And then also I want to talk about Nick Sirianni, bro, and having the guts to go for on that fourth down. See a lot of people wanting to sit here and be like, oh, good call. That was a scary call, bro. That was a scary call. That's how I'm going to say that. Because I want you guys to know how I truly feel. I'm not going to say something was good just because it worked. Man, I wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have did it to just keep it a buck. I would not have done it. Miami had a lot of momentum. You had none. Your defense has been playing fantastic. I would just lean on the defense to stop them one more drive. Stop them one more drive because that defense could have did it. They could have done it. But also, I do understand what he was seeing. He's like, man, that is a good offense. Big play Slade just caught this pick. We have some momentum, and it is 4th and 1, and we get this every single time. So I get it. It makes plenty of sense. So I ain't hating on it. I'm just telling you, like, man, that was tough. That was tough. And then to do it again. Like, he did not care at all. He did it once. He's like, man, F that, bro. We winning this football game. And that's what they did, bro. So kudos to the Philadelphia Eagles. The only thing I will say that was sketch about this game was that, bro, how do the Miami Dolphins have 10 penalties and the Eagles have none? As a guy that played football, and all you guys that did play, we all know that at the very least there's holding on every single play. At the very least there's holding on every single play. It's a matter of how dramatic it was. So, like, there's no way you could tell me that the Eagles didn't do anything the entire game that deserved a penalty. And actually, I know for a fact one did. I want to say it was to Cedric Wilson Jr., a pass that Tua threw. That was defensive pass interference. That should have been called. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, that changes the whole game. I'm just saying, though, the flow of the game is different, and that's sketchy to see when you see one team with penalties, another team with none. That's like seeing LeBron James play for 48 minutes and not a single foul. Like, bro, you foul somebody at some point being out there for 48 minutes. Like, come on now. But that's our review of the important games of Week 7. And that's our conclusion of that portion of our episode. Now, what we're going to get into is what I'm going to call my quarterback rankings. Simple. Short, sweet, simple. And we're going to talk about the top 5 quarterbacks of the NFC and the top 5 quarterbacks of the AFC, in my opinion. Then the first group that we're going to start with is the NFC because, honestly, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. I think the best quarterback playing right now in the NFC is Jalen Hurts. It's still Jalen Hurts. And this is because just of how poorly the NFC conference is, honestly, at quarterback. Because Jalen Hurts is not having like the year he had last year. But there's nobody that I'm taking over Jalen Hurts right now there. Nobody at all. He's playing well. I know he can make plays. I just need him to calm down on his turnovers a little bit, and that will come with time. But Jalen Hurts is still a really good passer, a good play, but he's a good passer and a better playmaker. So, yes, that's how I feel about that. Jalen Hurts is my number 1 quarterback right now in the NFC. And let me be clear, these rankings are of right now. Right now. The number 2 quarterback in the NFC to me is Matt Stafford. His ball placement has been tremendous. He's playing a quarterback in a way that I have not seen a lot of quarterbacks be able to do, and there's definitely no one else able to do it in the NFC. And he is putting the ball in places that's tight windows, very tight window throws, getting the ball there, but getting these completions, keeping the offense moving. And we just cannot forget that he did this the first 4 weeks without Cooper Kupp at all. That was a bad loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that wasn't on him. His field goal kicker got put in field goal range 2 times to make these field goals. He missed both, bro. That's 6 points. We needs that. But Matt Stafford is my number 2 quarterback right now. Number 3 is Jared Goff. Jared Goff, man, he's dealing with a lot of pieces coming in and out of the lineup. But, man, Jared Goff, he's been playing great ball. Outside of last week, he's been playing really good football. I like what he's been doing. Nothing special, nothing highlight reel material, but he's leading a team, and that's what you're supposed to do. Which is kind of what the next quarterback does at number 4, and that's Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, bro, he is what he is. He's not going to do anything special. But what I did love seeing the Browns drive. I did love seeing that drive. That drive against the Cleveland Browns to put his team in position to win the game, in which Moody ended up missing the field goal. But He was having a bad game. He fought through it, came back, and put himself in a position to win. You cannot overstate what that means. Yeah, he had a bad game, but every quarterback has a bad game. Every quarterback has a bad game. So I'm not really tripping on that right now. Now, if it becomes a habit, that's a whole nother story. But he had a bad game against Minnesota. I'm not holding a whole lot to him more in the Cleveland game because it was bad weather conditions. And the whole team played terrible. He lost Debo in the middle of the game. He lost C.J. McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey. That completely flips your game plan and your structure of your offense. So I'm not holding a whole lot to that. And like I said, he did execute a game-winning drive. But this Minnesota game was his bad game. But Brock Purdy's playing really good football. My number 5 quarterback right now is Dak Prescott. He's my number 5 guy because honestly, he's doing a lot of what I said Jared Goff and Brock Purdy's doing. The issue for me with Dak is just that when I needed him to make those plays at those moments, he has not executed that game-winning drive. He could have did it against the Arizona Cardinals. He failed. And against the San Francisco 49ers, he got his doors blown off. So I cannot put him above Brock Purdy. I cannot put him above Jared Goff right now. But he is my number 5 guy. He is playing better, though. Week by week, he's getting better. Every single week, he's putting the ball in better places. And the rocket science idea came all of a sudden to give CeeDee Lamb the football. Give him the ball, you'll be better. But he is my number 5 quarterback. The one guy that's not on this list that I feel like people may want to bring up is Kirk Cousins. It's Kirk Cousins, but honestly, I just feel like I can't put Kirk Cousins on there because the last few weeks, granted, I know Justin Jefferson has been out, but he hasn't been great. And even those first couple weeks where they were losing, it was empty calorie. Like, it was empty calorie. A lot of those yards didn't mean anything. You're just accumulating stats. You're not really winning games. You're just accumulating stats. And I don't have a whole lot of respect for that. But those are my top 5 quarterbacks of the NFC. My top 5 quarterbacks of the AFC. Number 1 right now is Patrick Mahomes. The offense is coming to life, but all season Patrick Mahomes really hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong. He just have not had the weaponry to get the job done. But now his offense is growing. Now these young guys are growing to roles. And Travis Kelce, obviously, he's Travis Kelce. And the tackles, hey, man, the tackles played good football, man, against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. So he got to stay upright. And when that happened, we saw what Patrick Mahomes did. We saw what he did. So, man, I really like how Patrick Mahomes is playing. He's putting the ball in places for his weapons to catch the football and make plays. Moving on to the next quarterback, and that's Josh Allen. The second best quarterback in AFC right now is Josh Allen. Because notice my keywords right now. And the reason why he's the second best quarterback is because, man, there's nobody I would take over him. He is still playing good football. He just gets sloppy at times. He gets sloppy at moments. That's his biggest thing. But Josh Allen, man, he's still putting the ball in places it's hard to do. Him and Stephon Diggs are playing fantastic together still. It's just that he's making a couple more mistakes than what he needs to be making. And he needs to stop being superhero. If he just stopped being superhero, he'll be fantastic. He could be on the level of Patrick Mahomes, but he got too much superhero energy in him. Moving on to number 3, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has played a really good season. Outside the fumbles, he's been fantastic, actually, outside the fumbles. He had a couple hiccups, but, man, this dude is an MVP candidate, and he is his entire offense. He is his entire offense. So he is my number 3 quarterback right now. My number 4 quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa. Man, he's number 4 for me because, honestly, first of all, bro, the AFC is just so deep at quarterback. It's so deep at quarterback that you got to fall somewhere. That's just kind of how it is. Just like for years, like Damian Lillard didn't make the NBA All-Star game. But who are you going to take out? You got Steph in there. You got Russell Westbrook in there. You had Chris Paul in there. Like, who comes out? Like, there's so many guys, and that's kind of what it is for Tua. Tua's having a fantastic season. I'm not taking anything away from him. It's just that, bro, there are just 3 other guys I like better than you. That's all. But you are in that class with 2 of those guys. Because to me, Patrick Mahomes is in his own class. But you are in that class with 2 of those guys, talking about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Moving on to my 5th quarterback. And this one was tough for me. It was tough. But I had to go off of right now. Right now. And that is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, man, he is throwing the football, though. He's throwing the football. His team's losing games, but he also does have, like, the worst defense I've seen in the NFL. Because, like, the Denver Broncos, like, they had that horrendous game against the Miami Dolphins. But, man, that's a talented defense. But this defense is just consistently bad. Consistently bad. And like I said, I could make a case that you should have lost every single game. You should not have won 2 games. You guys should be 0-6 today. Today you should be 0-6. By the grace of God, you're not. That's all that is. But Justin Herbert, man, he has been playing good football. He keeps his team in games. He does keep his team in games. It's just that I don't think he's necessarily in the class of like those other guys. I think he's like the top of that next class. And he will continue getting better, though. He will continue getting better. The biggest thing that I see that's an issue with him is that he tends to kind of panic when the pressure gets to him. He tends to shrink in those moments. That's the only thing I will say against him. But he has all the tools. He has all the tools. He just gotta get a little bit more heart, man, and you gotta be able to make. You gotta be able to play make when it's time to play make. And there are times that he just does not do what he needs to do. Moving on to now the not on this list. Yes, I know a lot of you are going to say, why is Joe Burrow not on your list? It's simply because we're talking about right now. Man, the first 3 games that Joe Burrow played, those were horrendous football games. Out of these, I want to say 6 games they played. I think they're 3-3. Out of these 6 games, bro, like there's only been 1 game where Joe Burrow played good, and that was against the trash Arizona Cardinals. Like, that's the only reason why he's not up there. I personally think Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the NFL if you're asking me who I'm taking. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes 1, Joe Burrow 2. But so far this season, Joe Burrow is not in this discussion. He has a lot to prove. And it's strictly because he's not healthy, but he has a lot more to prove. He has to prove to us that he's healthy. I hope when he comes back for this bye, he's a lot better than what he was. And the other guy that's now on this list is Trevor Lawrence. And the reason why I can't put him in this list is because, honestly, like I said before, this is the AFC. This is a quarterback-rich conference. If he was in the NFC, he would have had a chance to make this list for me because now we're talking about like the Jared Goff. We're talking about Dak Prescott, and we're also talking about Brock Purdy. He's with those guys to me right now. That group of guys, that's where he's at. He's not in that upper echelon of class. And like I already stated before when we talked about this, I think it's because they have not unlocked Calvin Ridley. Once they get to unlock that, and then we could really see not Trevor Lawrence maintain games and maintain a game plan, but him actually going out there and winning games. There's a difference. See, these other guys I'm talking about, these guys win games. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Tua, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. Like, those guys win games. They win the game for you. You walk in there like, we got a chance because we got that guy at quarterback. You're not doing that right now with Trevor Lawrence. And that's what they need to get to. That's what they need to get to. But that's my thoughts on those kind of those players, our top 5 quarterbacks. Moving on to our top 5 performances of the week. Obviously, number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. The dude went bananas out there. Number 2 is Travis Kelce. Once again, dude went bananas out there. There's not a whole lot to talk about with these because we already discussed them. But, man, those dudes went crazy. Talking about number 3, Myles Garrett. And, honestly, you can put Myles Garrett number 1 for me, too. I don't care because that dude lost his mind out there. But number 3 is Myles Garrett. Number 4 is going to be Lamar Jackson. He played a fantastic football game. It was just a blowout, so I can't necessarily put him up there like with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and even Myles Garrett because, man, them blowout games, like the mentality changes and the shifts. When the Detroit Lions realized they didn't have a shot, now to a superstar, what a superstar is supposed to do, Lamar Jackson's okay. You know, he put his foot on their neck. That's what he did. But he's number 4. And number 5 for me is Kirk Cousins, bro. Man, you guys were not supposed to win that football game. And you play fantastic, and you got your team a dub along with that defense. Great game, Kirk Cousins. Moving on to our top 5 teams as of right now into this season. Number 1 for me now today is Kansas City. Kansas City Chiefs are the number 1 team in the league to me right now. The offense is showing some heart, showing a pulse, and we know what Patrick Mahomes is going to continue doing, him and Travis Kelce. Number 2 team to me right now is the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't care. You can switch them. It doesn't really matter to me. But they're number 2. They're maybe the most complete team in the NFL to me actually right now. They are the most complete team to have a real quarterback, to have a real offensive line, to have a real running back, to have real wide receivers, they have real defensive line, and have a real secondary. So, man, they're probably number 2 to me, and they just added Kevin Byard. So they're the number 2 they're the number 1 completed team to me, but they are the number 2 as of right now today. Number 3 for me is the Miami Dolphins. They are a number 3 team. I know you're like, hey, B, how can they be number 3? They lost 2 games. Well, guess what? A lot of teams have lost 2 games now. Only 2 teams only lost 1. That's the Eagles and the Chiefs. That's why they're 1-2. But they're the number 2 team to me because I look at their losses, and they lost against good teams. They don't have an ugly loss yet. You don't like them losing to the Bills. You don't like them losing to the Eagles. But, like, they lost to quality football teams. They didn't lose to no scrubs. So they are my number 3 team. Unlike the San Francisco 49ers, who fall in at number 4 for me. They fall in number 4 for me because I'm punishing them for losing to the Minnesota Vikings. If I would have put this up last week, they would have been my number 1 team last week still, even after the Cleveland Brown loss. Even after that, they still would have been number 1. But, bro, you can't lose to the Browns and then turn around and lose to the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, come on, bro. You lost to Minnesota without Justin Jefferson. That's not a good look. You're still top 5. You're still number 4. But y'all gotta turn this around. And my number 5 team right now is the Baltimore Ravens. Man, we got to give them a lot of credit for dominating that game the way that they did. They play fantastic. Their defense is flying. The defense looks great. They look great. Well, Roquan Smith has proven to be a true addition on that defense. And I actually think that he should be in a defensive player of the year conversation. I already gave the award away. It's going to Myles Garrett. So he can't win it. But as of right now today, he can't win it. But he's definitely in that conversation for the end of the year. He will be in that polling. That's how good he's been playing. And Kyle Hamilton's finding his role, along with Jadeveon Clowney. He's actually doing really well with stopping the run. Like, there's a lot of pieces on that team I'm really, really enjoying watching. But those are my top 5 teams my top 5 teams as of right now. The final part of our show, the final thing that we're going to go over is our Week 8 preview. Week 8 preview. And the only thing we're going to go over is the important games in the game, and then what I'm declaring the game of the week. So the important games for this week, man, we got the Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. This game should not have been an important game, but it is. And the reason why it is because the Buccaneers are the number 2 team in their division. If they win this game, that puts them it keeps them still in that fight with honestly the whole division outside of Carolina Panthers. And for the Buffalo Bills, you got to get back on track, bro. You got to get back on track. You lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You should have lost to the New York Giants. And then you lost to now the New England Patriots, who look straight up trash this year. Like, that's not a good stretch, man. Y'all got to turn this around. And it's going to be a tough game to turn it around at, because that's a good defense that you're going against. A good secondary, great linebacker play. And those 2 things are not good for Josh Allen. And then when you add in a guy like Shaq Barrett too, like, bro, that's not a good look for Josh Allen. They're going to try to let Josh Allen make mistakes, and they're going to hit Josh Allen also. They will hit him. So, man, we will see how that plays out for them. This game is going to come down to that pass rush getting to Josh Allen. But on the other side of the ball, it's going to come down to Baker Mayfield not making mistakes. As long as he doesn't make mistakes and maintain the game, the Buccaneers should have a chance to win this football game. So that's one important game. The next important game is the Los Angeles Rams at the Dallas Cowboys. For the Rams, you're trying to make the playoffs, man. You're trying to get in as a wild card. You got to win these games that you're supposed to win, and you blew that one against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You blew that. You could not afford to blow that game. So now you're sitting at 3-4. Now, because the NFC is weak, you got a chance. And you also got a chance against the Dallas Cowboys, because the Dallas Cowboys, since Stephon Diggs has been injured, has been one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL since he's been hurt. So now when you got a guy like Matt Stafford coming in, he could get that ball to those wide receivers. This could be a great game for you. It can be a great game for the Los Angeles Rams, but y'all got to show up offensive line-wise, and you got to run the ball. Now, Micah Parsons could completely wreck this game because your offensive line ain't that good, and they can control this game with Micah Parsons by himself. So that's what this game will come down to. The Dallas Cowboys pass rush versus the Los Angeles Rams offense. Now, on the other side of the ball, can you maintain Aaron Donald? If you can maintain Aaron Donald, that offense should be able to move the football against the Rams. The Rams' defense is solid. They're not great. They're not bad. They're average. So you should be able to move the football against them. And Dak Prescott, as long as you don't make mistakes, the Dallas Cowboys should win this football game. Moving on to the next game, we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Pittsburgh Steelers. One surprise team and one team finally doing what we thought they were going to be doing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is an important game because the Steelers, you can't afford to lose any games in that division. You cannot afford it. The Browns are good. The Bengals, we know they're not dead. And then obviously the Baltimore Ravens is the top of the class. So, I mean, you got to continue winning football games. That's the big thing for them. You do not want to fall behind in this race. And then for the Jacksonville Jaguars, bro, you got to keep stacking these wins. Keep stacking these wins. You want to keep doing that, especially against good defenses and good opponents. So that key matchup is just that Quarterbacks don't turn the ball over. It sounds cliche, but that's what it is. Whichever quarterback turns the ball over more, whatever offense does, whether it's the Jags or the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's the team that's gonna lose. Do not turn the ball over in this football game. Moving on to our last important game, and that's the Cleveland Browns at the Seattle Seahawks. That's an important game because the Seahawks, man, y'all got to show something better than what you're doing. And also the Browns, like, man, if y'all could just get a little something out of that offense, just a little something out of that offense, bro, y'all could be really, really good. Really, really good. This is going to be a big game. It's up in Seattle, so you know the 12th man going to be loaded and rocking. Bro, this is going to be a fun football game. And this is going to come down to something real simple for this game as well. Can Myles Garrett dominate this game? The Seattle Seahawks offensive line is not great. Geno Smith is taking way too many sacks. It's the difference between getting sacked and taking sacks. He's taking way too many sacks. So, man, if Myles Garrett could dominate this game with Jadarius Smith, they could completely ruin the Seattle Seahawks offense, and they could dominate this game by doing that. Now, the Seattle Seahawks defense is not a bad defense. They are not no slouches. So it's going to be tough. This game will be probably a low-scoring game, but this is going to be one of the most important games. And then the game of the week is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals at the San Francisco 49ers. And, man, the key matchup to me in this game is simple. Just the Bengals front line going against Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy makes mistakes, the Bengals will easily win this football game. Now, on the other side of the ball, I want to see what Joe Burrow looks like. Does he look healthier? Is he looking better? Is he looking more like himself? Because if he is, they have a strong chance of winning this football game. A strong chance of winning this game would be a great game for them because, once again, it keeps them in the race. Because right now they're last place in their division. They're trying to get back up to the top where they believe that they should be and that they can be. But T. Higgins and Joe Burrow have to be healthy and rocking and rolling in order to get there. They're getting into a tough stretch. If they can win this game to keep this stretch going, to give them good vibes going on this tough road, that would be a great help for them. Man, so out of these games, the Buccaneers and Bills, I got the Bills winning that game. Honestly, simply put, they got the better quarterback playing. I think Josh Allen, he's going to be on a mission in this game. The next game, talking about the Rams and Dallas Cowboys. I got the Cowboys taking it. I do got the Dallas Cowboys taking that game. I do think that this game could be. I actually think this game will be high scoring, but I think Dallas Cowboys got a little bit too much offense for the Rams defense. Moving on to the next game, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Steelers. I got the Jaguars winning this game, actually. Mainly because I like what the Jaguars defense is doing, and I think they're going to really slow down Kenny Pickett, and I think he will be the one to make too many turnovers. Then the next game, we got the Browns at the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to go ahead and roll with Seattle in this game, mainly because they're at home, but that's how close this is. It's at home, so I'm going with Seattle. I think that defense will be rocking. I think Deshaun Watson has already been ruled out, so I think that Paul Walker will make too many mistakes for the defense to cover up. And as far as the game of the week, I got the 49ers winning that football game. I do got them winning that game. They've lost They have 2 bad losses. They're going back home, and I think that they know what they got to do in this football game. So I got the 49ers winning that game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And, y'all, that would do it for our episode. This is episode 8 of Knowing True Ball. Man, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this ride. Bro, this has been fun. As you see, hey, your boy got a new mic, bro. The wife gave me a gift and hooked me up with a new mic. And it sounds a hell of a lot better. I know it. Hey, I greatly appreciate it, baby. But, man, bro, this is so much fun. I love doing this for you guys. This is not even just for you. It's also for me. It's something I love and something I love to do. But, man, I hope all you guys are doing well. I hope all you guys are staying healthy. Hey, man, continue living your life. Do what you believe is best, and don't follow nobody. We only believe in us here. We don't believe in we, just us. So, hey, this is what we're going to do. Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Peace.